All right, everybody, we're going to be chasing after some largemouth bass today. The first time I ever fished this lake right here for largemouth. I'm with Jeremiah Shaver, and we're going to hit it with a 1-2 punch. We're going to try to hit some shallow weed flats, shallow areas, because we're thinking with 63-degree water temperature here, pushing into Memorial Day weekend, a lot of these bass are going to be thinking about making beds or spawning already. This is my search bait plan of attack. It's just a homemade black and blue swimming jig. It's a 1/4 ounce swim jig, and I got my big K-Grub trailer on there, 16-pound fluorocarbon line, and a medium heavy 7-foot rod, bait casting gear, of course. What I'm gonna target is I'm just gonna be throwing this swim jig out, reeling it in like a spinner bait, and I'm gonna try to get it to go through and over and around those big weed clumps and hope I can't pick off some roamers or some fish that are setting up on beds. And Shaver is going to be throwing a wacky rig Cinco, and we'll talk to him real quick and see that setup.
All right, Tori mentioned I'm going to be following him up today with this little Cinco. He's going to be fan casting out front. I'm going to kind of do a little bit methodical, slow, just kind of twitching things behind him, skipping it under docks. This is just a little stick bait. You can see it's real wobbly. I'm using a 1/0 hook specifically designed for drop shotting and Cincos. And this is a real easy rig. All I do is stick the hook right through the middle, expose it, and it hangs there like a little piece of spaghetti noodle. And it comes through the water and it just wiggles and floats and flaps, and it doesn't look like much, but it's probably one of the deadliest baits around.
Observation number 1. We're only about 10 minutes into the day. We idled to the far end of the lake, and we're just getting infested. Some people call that snot grass, some people call it witch hair. I just call it pure junk. So we're gonna abandon spot number 1, because every single cast, that's all we're filling up with is that snot. So you can see right in front of us, we got a bank that's got some riprap on it, some rock. Got a few docks down the way. And that's our area number 2 that we're going to check out. Decent one here. Took a swim jig, and I wasn't really close to that dock. I was about 6 feet short, so my guess is this is just a random cruiser. That's a 2-pounder. Really good color. Okay, so there's some fish shallow that will chase. Right now, Shaver is foaming at the mouth to get a Cinco bite going on these docks right here. And my guess is he's gonna catch one. It's probably only gonna be about a 10-inch fish, but he's gonna get one.
Finally hooked one up on this dock over here. Not a real giant, but he thinks he's big. Once again, great color on these fish. We're gonna keep moving along though. Looks like we're starting to pick up a couple here and there.
We're not doing all that well this morning. We're catching a lot of little fish, but we've had nothing that's even come close to 2.5 pounds.
Well, we decided to change things up a little bit. Another 13-incher, but you saw Tori just caught a decent 2-pounder. We moved way off the bank here. There's still some weed clumps out here, and we're just throwing this Cinco and swim jig, flipping jig out here in these weed clumps, and we're starting to get bit, so hopefully we can dial this in a little bit and maybe get some bigger fish.
I'm gonna wrap up this video blog for the day. Shaver and I, this is about a 500-acre lake, and we started out this morning. We caught a few fish swimming a jig, and then we got some fish on a couple of docks. We got some fish on some laydowns. But the big key seem to factor in on the weed clumps. I mean, there's a really good clean weed. If you had that witch hair, you know, all you'd end up doing is just cleaning off your bait. But if you could find those clumps of that clean weed and drop a jig in it, they would eat it. Or if you could drop a Senko in it. The Senko by far had more bites than anything else today. But they did chase down a jig, and they did, you know, eat a flipping jig too. So anyway, what's going on is this is a weed flat. It's about anywhere between 3 and 5 foot deep with those weed clumps all over it. And you can just envision that if you've got a big weed clump, there's going to be a hole in it, and those fish will set up in those holes. And they might be making beds in there. You can't see them, but that's kind of the way you would envision it. So once again, when you got that water temperature, it's in the low to mid 60s, spawning time, get less than 6 foot deep, and find your areas, some shallow water, because that's where they're going to be to spawn. We found no big fish. All that we caught was 13, 14 inches at the max, and I just got bit. But anyway, 13 or 14 inches max. We caught a lot of little fish. We're going to pack up, head down the road to another lake. For this North Roads Outdoors blog, we are out. They stuck in the pads. God dang it. Can you say that I suck today? Totally, I suck. Now I suck and I'm irritated. And I'm good God. This is...
They will not take anything other than this Senko.
Do you think I'm smart enough to tie one on?
Tori, we're gonna get you on some fish. Don't worry, bud.
Got that, but I don't know what I'm saying. We'll come back later.